大谷翔平の指から流れる血、そして着地時の膝の炎症、サイヤング賞への渇望と10月のワールドシリーズ制覇という大目標が激突する中、全米メディアが問いかける一体どちらがボスなのか、大谷か、それともドジャースか。満身創痍でありながらマウンドに立ち続ける二刀流スターの知られざる怪我。2026年シーズン中盤、ドジャースのマウンドを牽引する大谷翔平は驚異的な防衛率1.47を記録しながらも深刻な怪我の連鎖に苦しんでいました。指の皮膚が裂けて血が滲むまめ再発、さらには投球メカニクスに影響を与える右膝の炎症。元メジャーリーガーや地元コラムニストたちはこの満身創痍の状態で登板を続けさせるドジャースの管理体制に疑問を投げかけています。なぜドジャースは7億ドルの投資対象である大谷を休ませないのか。その背景には大谷自身が抱くサイヤング賞への執念と彼をコントロールしきれない球団側のジレンマがありました。
I was shocked to see him come back. I think he had over 80 pitches thrown. He entered in the sixth inning after giving up 4 runs. To me, it said he wants to win the Cy Young in the worst way, and he knows there's one category that he's kind of getting boat raced in, and that's innings pitched. So if he's going to win the Cy Young, he needs more length in his starts. Take a look at the other guys that are in the mix right now. His ERA is sparkling. Otani's at 1.47, but he's got 14 fewer innings to Jacob Mizorowski. Look at Christopher Sanchez at 99 innings. If Otani's going to pull this off, and he may not ever have a better chance to win the Cy Young than this year, he's going to have to go into the 6th, 7th, maybe 8th inning. Do you agree or disagree?
I kind of agree, but I don't think in the moment when you're pitching, you're thinking about the Cy Young and what I need to do to add innings and all that. That would be like next level crazy.
Well,
I don't believe.
I think he might be next level crazy.
Time out. What I would say, and I don't think you included it, with his pitch count, the Dodgers get 2 in the 4th. He gives up 4 in the 5th. And when we look at this, the first thing we say is like, wow, Otani was struggling. Boy, that wasn't a good game. I'm glad you went to velo off the bat. This is the inning. He walks the 9-hitter or the 8-hitter. This is in the 4th inning.
サイヤング賞獲得に向けてイニング数を稼ぎたい大谷。しかし、それを阻むのがマウンド上での豆の再発です。MLB ネットワークの解説陣は、大谷の指の怪我について、通常とは異なる、極めて異例な位置で発生していると指摘し、その詳細なメカニズムを分析しています。
Because it's not.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
It's not something that just arose and he's like, oh, what do I do with it?
You said it was on an unusual spot. Explain that and then explain what you're getting.
When I had issue early in my career, thus Mr. Blister, most of it is on the middle finger pad of your finger because everything comes off your fingertips. I don't know if we get that on a shot, but when you're throwing the baseball, it comes off of your fingertips.
Right here.
Yeah, where are we going? Right here. Hello.
Right there, real tight.
So you're throwing off the finger. So you have friction. Most guys are force seam. The friction creates heat. And when the friction creates heat, you get a little bubble. They say, oh, you got a callus. You actually get blisters under the callus. What I saw with Otani, it's on his index finger, and he was bleeding down here. Tells me this is really about him coming off. He's a index finger breaking ball. He's got the sweeper, and he is talking about earlier in the show with Smith with a split. Pulling down. I don't believe that the split, unless he's holding it on this side. Where are we again? Can we get a shot at right so there. He's ripping here. I'm telling you, this is an unusual spot to get a blister. I'm thinking it's off of his index finger, either breaking ball, his sweeper, or even the
So the usual spot is on the top of the fingers?
Yes, on your pad of your fingers. You get blisters here. No, a lot of guys that did. There's a lot of players that do. You figure out a way to toughen your skin because of 70, 80, 90 pitches, and you're letting it rip.
So what hurts more, the top of the finger or where Otani's getting it at?
I think what Otani has is actually you can manage it because you're not throwing a baseball on the side. You're throwing it when you let it go, it's boom.
And that right there, what you just said, answers my question. If we know their superstar has a bloody finger, why is he going back out to win the game?
人差し指の側面という異例の豆。これはスイーパーや変化球の強烈なリリース時の摩擦によるものであり、投球選択にも影響を与えているといいます。この深刻な怪我を抱えながらもマウンドを降りない大谷に対し、地元ロサンゼルスタイムズオブ記者たちは、 一体どちらが決定権を握っているのか、という主導権争いに切り込みます。
Shohei, and they need Shohei right when the season matters. It's funny. I come from like a lot of NBA coverage, and I just got to tell you, no NBA player is is playing with something, or especially no star, right, is playing with something like this. They're gonna like rest him up because they've invested so much in him, and he matters so much that they'd be like, all right, you need to get right before we put you back out there. But I guess like, but baseball, like these dudes are tough and they want to play, and Shohei wants to play. But yeah, I don't know. Like they gotta get it healed before it gets to the point of the season where it matters most.
That's the interesting thing, where the Dodgers, we've seen all year, very careful about not pushing guys with injuries. We keep getting these timelines that keep getting pushed back more and more for guy after guy. But Ohtani's the exception, where if he's like, I want to be in there, they're like, well, okay. And of course they say like, they're not going to put him in real danger, all of that. They really want him for the course of the season, but he also wants to be in there, and it's still fighting for that Cy Young, even, and knows that the innings puzzle isn't on his side there. Whether or not that was his primary motivation, I think he also just wants to be out there and pitch and help his team. But this felt like the perfect time to give him at least a few extra days in between starts, if not skip a start, because he's also been dealing with that knee issue. We saw last week he left the game Thursday with it, missed Friday, was back on Saturday. But that no one has been able to point to an inciting incident or anything like that. But he guessed that it was because of some of his mechanics that was aggravating that knee. And so I don't know. This seemed like a time where you could be like, all right, you know what? We'll get the knee taken care of. We'll give you an extra couple days to an extra week with the blister. Two birds, one stone.
誰がボスなのかという問いかけは、大谷の絶大な影響力と球団のジレンマを浮き彫りにします。ドジャースの専門ポッドキャスト、オールドドジャーズでも、この怪我の深刻さを放置すべきではないとして、今すぐ登板を回避させ、リバーライアンなどの代替投手を起用すべきだという具体的なプランが提唱されています。
Throw the air horn. Said, Jeff, I really like what you said about possibly resting Ohtani more around the All-Star break. I think this could be a big advantage for him leading into the second half of the season. And this is kind of the first topic that we had on our agenda, which is basically the Ohtani plan is what? This is a guy who has a nasty-looking finger with blisters and blood and all sorts of stuff. He has an injured knee, apparently, that has not kept him out of the lineup or off of the mound much over the last few days. But the question I think that is a fair one is, what should the Dodgers be doing? Like, if he is not 100%, which everyone is willing to acknowledge, Kevin, if he is not 100%, should the Dodgers continue sending him out there on a normal pitching and hitting schedule?
I think it's time to evaluate whether or not it's good for Ohtani to pitch right now. That blister looks nasty. It's, we're entering Rich Hill territory. Like that, and it's.
Do you think Ohtani has tried the Rich Hill method for taking care of his blisters? Is my follow-up question there.
Absolutely not. I think he has his own method and own gurus that have treatments you've never even heard of.
I wonder what those gurus would think. Let's get Guru Rich Hill in here. And he's like, actually, let me tell you what you need to get all over your hands, and that'll solve all your problems. If you don't know what we're talking about, I'd just say Google it, and we'll move on here. But carry on.
Because while the Cy Young isn't out of question, it is currently beyond reach, I would say. He has risen his ERA. He has a lower pitch or innings count than, the lead guy.
怪我による投球スタイルの歪みは、彼の長期的なパフォーマンスに悪影響を与えかねません。さらに彼らは、単に休養を提案するだけでなく、大谷が怪我を、いつ、どのように、休むべきか、二刀流ならではの特殊な休養スケジュールと現実的な妥協案について激論を交わしています。
8th. And then, after that, you could give him a 2 full weeks off, because you could give him the Wednesday of All-Star Week off and then not have him pitch until the following Wednesday. That makes sense to me, Kevin. The problem is, when I look at this, he needs the rest now. He doesn't need the rest in 4 weeks. his hand seemingly needs the rest now. His knee would need the rest now. And so I think that's the thing I keep going back and forth on is you don't want the time off to be more than just a couple weeks because then you deal with having to ramp him back up. He's still going to be taking up a roster spot, all of that kind of a thing. But on top of all of those things, like I think that's the tricky part for navigating this is just how do you fit all of this kind of a thing in there? You know, like giving him the time off now is what would make the most sense. But logistically, what would make the most sense is giving him the time off in 3 or 4 weeks once the All-Star break comes around.
Yeah, I think I agree. He should, like I said, he should get the rest sooner rather than later, especially from pitching. I don't think he needs necessarily an off day from hitting because Dave even admitted that he only really feels the knee injury when he's pitching. So if they could just shut him down for a little bit, just to let his knee get right, build up a callus or whatever he needs to do.
Yeah.
I don't know about go full Monty, full Rich Hill, but figure out something to do with his blister.
打者として出場し続けながら、投手としてのみ一時的に休止するという二刀流大谷だからこそ可能な画期的な解決策。これまで数々の不可能を可能にしてきた大谷ですが、今回の怪我はサイ・ヤング賞、そしてドジャースの覇権にどう影響するのでしょうか。ここからは、専門家によるさらに深い技術的、心理的分析をお届けします。MLB 専門家の見解。大谷翔平が直面している指の豆と着地膝、レンディングニーの炎症という二重の危機は、ドジャースのポストシーズン戦略、そして大谷個人のサイ・ヤング賞への野望において、今シーズンの最大の分岐点となることは間違いありません。まず、技術的な観点から人差し指の側面という異例の位置にできた豆について深く分析します。ハロルド・レイノルズ氏が指摘した通り、通常、打とう手がフォーシームファストボールを投じる際、豆はボールを最後にリリースする中指の指の腹、パッドに形成されます。しかし大谷の場合、人差し指の側面に豆ができ、出血が確認されています。これは明らかに、彼の代名詞であるスイーパーや横スライダーを投じる際、人差し指の側面でボールを強く引っかく、アルイープ、ようにして回転をかけていることに起因しています。スイーパーは高速かつ横に大きく曲がるため、指先に加わる摩擦熱と横方向のストレスは、通常のファストボールの比ではありません。この摩擦が皮膚の元に熱を蓄積させ、カルスの元で水泡、ビリスターを形成し、最終的には裂して出血を招いたのです。この豆の影響は、すでに大谷のピッチングデータに明確に現れています。直近の登板で、大谷は最も指先に負担がかかるスプリッターやフォーシームの割合を減らし、比較的負担の少ないカーブを多用するという変則的なピッチングミックスを余儀なくされました。これは怪我による投球の歪み、コンペンセーションであり、リリース時の球持ちやキレが失われている証拠です。さらに深刻なのは、右膝の炎症です。大谷の右膝は、投球時に地面を踏み込む、着地足、レンディングレグにあたります。マウンドから傾斜を利用して投じる際、体重の数倍に達する衝撃を着地膝が全て受け止めなければなりません。着地膝に炎症を抱えていると、元半身の踏ん張りが効かず、リリースの高さがばらつき、球速の引く元やコントロールの乱れに直結します。ロサンゼルスタイムズの専門記者たちが懸念するように、この状態で登板を続けることは、投球フォームを崩し、肩や肘など他の部位の致命的な二次災害を引き起こすリスクが極めて高いのです。ここでドジャースにとって最大のジレンマとなるのが、大谷と球団のどちらが決定権を持つのかという権力構造です。ドジャースは7億ドルというスポーツ史上最大級の契約を結んでおり、大谷の健康は球団の未来そのものです。しかし、大谷の異常なまでの競争心、特にサイ・ヤング賞への強いこだわりが、強行登板を後押ししています。現在の防衛率配置。47と抜群ですが、イニングスピッチェドにおいてジェイコブ・ミシオロースキーやクリストファー・サンチェスなど強豪に後れを取っています。サイ・ヤング賞の投票において投球回数は極めて重要なファクターであり、大谷がこれ以上登板をスキップすれば、受賞のチャンスを完全に逃すことになります。大谷本人が、登板しないという選択肢はなかったと語る裏には、このタイトルへの強い渇望があります。 結論として、ドジャースが取るべき最も現実的かつ戦略的なアプローチは、オールドドジャースのホストたちが提案した投手としてのシャットダウン、打者としての継続です。デーブ・ロバーツ監督が認めたように、大谷は膝の痛みを投球時のみ感じており、打撃動作、DH での出場においては支障がありません。したがって次の1位に先発をスキップし、その穴をリバー・ライアンなどの若手投手に任せ、大谷には豆の皮膚の再生と膝の炎症を抑える十分な時間を与えるべきです。腕の振りを保つための軽いキャッチボールやブルペン調整の身に留め、打者として OPS を稼ぎながら、オールスター前後の期間を利用して完全に回復させるのが賢明です。6月の1勝や個人のサイヤング賞のために、10月のワールドシリーズ制覇という究極のゴールを犠牲にすることは、ドジャースの投資火力考えても許されないはずです。今こそドジャース組織がボスとして毅然とした判断を戻すべき時です。ここまで見てくれたあなた、本当にありがとう。この動画が少しでも面白かったら、コメントで意見を聞かせてください。そして高評価、シェア、チャンネル登録も忘れずに、次の動画でまた一緒に野球の熱狂を味わいましょう。